Welcome to the Real Estate Podcast with Robert Ikard, your go-to destinations for all things real estate. Join us as we delve into the latest news and trends shaping the industry, engage in enlightening conversations with experts from across the globe, and explore a wide range of real estate-related topics. Plus, stay tuned for short, informative videos designed to deepen your understanding of various aspects of the real estate world, and get ready to expand your knowledge and stay ahead of the curve in the exciting world of real estate. Also, if you need any help in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I'm here to help, and you can look me up on the robertikard.com website. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe buttons so you can receive notifications of future podcasts. And before we introduce our special guests for tonight, I want to share some interesting recent news reports about real estate with you. Okay, and this was in Fortune magazine in no particular order, by Will Daniel. Commercial real estate tycoon says the industry is entering its final stage of grief, acceptance. And his name is Scott Rechler, CEO of the commercial real estate giant RXR. And he said it's been a rough few years for the commercial real estate industry, with rising interest rates, increasing operational costs, fewer available loans, and the rise of the hybrid work trend, something that's proven to be a thorn in the side of office owners. So he goes on to talk about the real estate industry is coming to grips with the fact that it's the start of an entirely new era. And it's one that won't be as friendly as others. Higher interest rates, fewer available loans, as we said before. And it really is new interest rate after 15 years of almost no or zero to low interest rates. So there's been a lot of talk about that on this podcast, and of course in other places as well. And he says there's an acknowledgement that it isn't coming back. Now we need to accept that values are shifting, capital structures are broken, and we have to come to terms with that. So that's an interesting read. Then the Big Short billionaire investor Kyle Bass reveals the 3 states where he's snapping up real estate to capitalize on migration trends, and one is very surprising. Kyle Bass says he is accumulating property in Texas, Florida, and Tennessee. And the billionaire investor who once took on the housing market has revealed and interviewed the 3 states where he is snatching up real estate, and the states I just mentioned. And they say many investors are skeptical of what he's saying. He said that the bubble burst, and when the Big Short, the film and the movie by his name, or that was based on him. Now he's regarded as a market soothsayer or prophecy guy or something like that, with many investors hanging on to his every word. And so he's advocating for Texas, Florida, and Tennessee. And that's really not really that breaking of news, because that seems to be following many trends out of California and New York. Another Fortune article by Will Daniel says top real estate mogul warns 500 or more banks will either fail or be consolidated over the next 2 years. So this is kind of shocking. If that's even half true, that's shocking. But ever since 4 regional banks holding a combined $532 billion in assets, headlined by Silicon Valley Bank, failed in March of 2023, regional banks have been under scrutiny from regulators. And given the commercial real estate industry's issues, a key focus has been on banks with most exposure to the volatile sector. And so he's predicting a lot of gloom and doom in the banking arena, which is not new as well. And that's mostly because of interest rates and banks, and the interest rates that they've been having to contend with, the change in interest rates, and the fact that they locked in loans at lower interest rates. And a loan is to a bank is an asset. It's a how they do business. They buy loans like any other asset. So when they buy a loan at a smaller interest rate and then rates go up, that loan is worth less. So that's hitting banks hard. But before we before we have any further delays, I want to welcome Paolo Volani. With over 25 years of experience in the European and UAE real estate markets, Paolo's journey has been one of empowerment and strategic guidance. Throughout his career, Paolo has cultivated a unique approach to advising property developers, landowners, and investors. Welcome, Paolo.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you for having me in your podcast. It's very pleasure.
I'm very happy to have you, and I'm going to keep reading a little bit about you, but it's after 8 o'clock here at night, and there it's, I think, 6 in the morning in Dubai.
6:20 in the morning. Yes, it's still dark, so I have all the lights on.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, it's dark here too, so we're both in the dark, but you're 10 hours ahead of me. So I'm talking to you in the future.
Exactly.
All right, so I'm going to keep going a little bit, and then it's not just an offering of options. It's about instilling confidence and knowledge to make informed decisions that Paolo helps people with, fostering enduring partnerships along the way. Paolo's expertise lies in crafting comprehensive property investment strategies and leading real estate development projects with a remarkable track record of enhancing property portfolios exceeding $1 billion. Listeners can expect to gain insights into diverse real estate market dynamics, advanced strategic planning techniques, and personalized solutions for long-term profitability. Paolo's commitment to empowering his clients shines through as he transforms complex challenges into high-yield opportunities, ensuring their investments flourish. So whether you're a seasoned investor or a newcomer to the real estate scene, join us as we explore the world of property investment with Paolo, your strategic property specialist who is in Dubai, United Arab Emirates.
Exactly.
Don't try to say that too fast.
Usually we say UAE.
UAE, yes. Correct. And well, thank you, Paolo. And we have a pretty good connection considering how far apart we are right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Paolo, why don't you, we don't have any script or anything for this podcast. I just want to know a little bit about you. And first of all, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Paolo, perfect.
Paolo.
Yeah.
Paolo Volani.
Volani, exactly.
Okay, and Paolo, you know what? At the end of the podcast, sometimes I forget to ask people for their contact information. So so that does not happen, why don't we just talk about it right now so people know how to contact you?
Yeah, I have my website, paolovolani.com. And then it's easy also to find me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. That's how I found you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Paolo, tell me a little bit about your life and how I believe you were born in Italy?
Yeah, I was born and grew up in a small town in the northeast of Italy. Let's say not far from Austria border, just on the foot of the Dolomites, and a really small town for 35,000 inhabitants. And then I spent part of my life there. Then I left for university. I got my master degrees in business economics. And I worked in the north of Italy for part of my life until I started coming to Dubai end of 2007, when a client of mine from Verona stopped by in Dubai, was excited by the market, started buying everything, and so he involved me in his venture here in Dubai. And so I started, let's say, flying to Dubai every month at the beginning, and then of course the crisis of 2008 for a few years, 2009, 10, 11 was quite tough here. And then everything restarted in 2012, and so I decided to move definitely here in Dubai because I saw the opportunity to build something better than in Italy. And so here we are, more than 10 years now here in the UAE, permanently as a resident. And now I consider Dubai home, honestly. Every time I fly around the world and also spend time in Italy, then I'm glad to be back in Dubai.
Well, I know a lot of Americans have read about Dubai, but most of us will never get a chance to visit there. I hope I will one day. Tell me what attracted you to Dubai?
At the beginning, honestly, when I was flying for the first few years, because let's say, as I said at the beginning, I was still based in Italy and I was flying almost every month here to follow some investments of my client. I saw this city moving so fast and transforming so quickly that I was excited. Of course, I always liked real estate, and especially during the crisis between 2009 and 2011, when the market was really hit by the global crisis. Here they kept going on with the infrastructure, building new roads, bridges, the metro, expanding the airport. And I was thinking, oh my God, here they are really believing in expanding and becoming an hub for the world. And in fact, when then in 2012, the economic situation was better, it started booming. And of course, as everywhere in the world for real estate, there are cycles. But here, the vision, sometimes I think they are quite crazy because they launch Vision 2070. Oh my God, who can believe 2070? But here they do. So they have really a plan to expand this country, and it's really exciting. You can see things moving, and especially in real estate, when I was in Italy, everything was very slow. Difficult to get permission, difficult to start works, to finish works, and everything. And so here it's something else.
Yes, they're very different countries, I'm sure. Yeah. So in Dubai, can you just and I'm going to just kind of be all over the place in with my questions, but so is it in the desert or is it next to the ocean or is it both?
At the end of the day, Dubai is just a strip of land. It's around, I think, 70 kilometers by 35, 40 kilometers. So we have we are on the, let's say, on the Arabian Sea.
Yeah.
But it's not developing like our traditional cities in Europe, for example, with a center and then expanding. Here we have different communities, different areas that are developing, and then some main connections with roads, with the metro, and so on. So it's a bit a different kind of city, because at the end of the day, it's like it's bigger than maybe a region in Italy. And there is no a real center, even if there is downtown where there is Burj Khalifa, but it's made of many different communities. And now all these communities are covering all the desert, and they are connecting each other.
Okay, well, it seems like a lot of cities next to a body of water kind of grew as a fishing village and then expanded from there. But it doesn't sound like that was the case with Dubai.
No, at the end of the day, okay, the historical and the origin of Dubai, it's still there. It's called the Creek Dubai Deira, let's say. There is a natural canal which is called the Creek, and on the one side of the creek there is Deira, which is the old city, let's call it. But then all the part going towards Abu Dhabi which is more or less 60, 70 kilometers, is going on expanding many different communities with different themes, different kind of features, but all of them are becoming residential areas, offices areas, healthcare cities, and so on. It's let's say a connection of many communities.
Well, I see you've made a lot of success there for yourself. Do you speak, well, what is the language there?
Okay, English is really the official language, even.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even if, let's say, there are still a few things where Arabic is mandatory, like the Dubai court. So when you have any issue in the court, you need to hire a law firm with Arabic people. So all the law firms, they have Arabic-speaking lawyers, because for the Dubai court, you still need Arabic. For the rest, essentially, everything is in English.
Well, you speak very good English, and I guess you learned it in Italy. Is that correct?
Actually, I have to say, unfortunately, when I grew up, I wanted to study English, but there were not enough classes in my secondary school, and so I was forced in the French class, and I had to study English when I started, let's say, working. So when I was already an adult, and it was very difficult for me because I'm not a language mind. But I did my best, and then, of course, now living here, it's easier to improve also my language. But I can't speak Arabic, honestly.
You can't speak Arabic?
No, I can't.
Oh, you can. Well, I was going to ask you. Well, I just admire that, because I know. I mean, I speak English, obviously, but I grew up with it. I would not want to learn it if I didn't grow up with it, because it can be a wild language where you'll have one word, like, for example, the word there. I mean, it can mean many things, and be spelled many different ways. Just a lot of different words have like 5 meanings, and that I imagine would be very hard to deal with.
Yeah, it is. And then also my pronunciation is very bad, and so I have my sons who grew up almost here, and they every day they say, "Dad, this is not the right pronunciation." Okay, sorry, I'm not. I didn't grow up speaking English, and so it's more difficult for me, especially with some the different kind of pronunciation. And so, forgive me for this.
No, I can understand you perfectly. There's no problem at all, and I am surprised that English is the prevalent language there. So that's very interesting to me, and I'm sure it's be very interesting to a lot of Americans and potential American tourists and investors.
Yeah, at the end of the day, okay, this country was born on the 2nd December 1971, because before it was under the British, and so, let's say, for them, I think English was, by the way, a language quite common here since ages.
Okay, I understand now. Sorry for my ignorance. I should have studied up more on the history. Well, I was reading a lot of your articles, and one thing. I mean, you write very many articles often, and I'm really impressed with your writing and your different topics, but they're all related to real estate. And I read many of your articles, and I was thinking to myself, wow, real estate here in the United States isn't much different than where you are. What I noticed, the same analysis, many of the same thought processes and analysis and all that go into it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there are some principles that are, let's say, good everywhere. I've been working in Italy also for many years, in Germany. So the real estate has got some, let's say, basics all around the world. Then there are some other parts that are particular for a certain countries, but I think real estate is quite similar all around the world.
Well, let's say you're an American and you have money to invest and you're willing to risk investing overseas with real estate. Okay, let's say you're that person. Why would you want to put your money in Dubai instead of Costa Rica or Italy or you name it?
Here in Dubai, what I like, let's say, they have, as I said before, a vision for the long period. So I've been working with people here since the beginning of the country, at the beginning of the 70s, and they see that there is a certain confidence even for foreigners that consider Dubai now home. So they see a long-term plan that gives confidence in terms of investing. Then, of course, taxes are one important thing in the world. And then when you can see that there are no taxation on the properties apart from the registration fee at the beginning, but let's say you invest in properties, you get a rent, and this rent is free of taxes, it's a good point, because the gross yield is the net yield. So it's especially compared to Italy, where the taxation is quite heavy, the difference is important.
Is there a capital gains tax there?
No. Now they just introduced last year the corporate tax on the profit of the companies, but nothing on real estate yet, at least.
That's I did not know that. I did not know that it was such a tax-friendly environment.
Yeah, at the end of the day, when you buy a property, you have a 4% registration fee at the beginning, but then nothing else. Let's say you have your property, you rent it, and you get a rent free of taxes. Tomorrow you sell with a capital gain, and there are no taxes on the capital gain.
They do not ask for additional taxes, and that's good. It almost reminds me a little bit of Dallas, Texas, or Texas in general in the United States. We see, and I've read a couple articles about how people are coming from California and New York and places like that, where there's more rules and regulations, a heavier taxation, and they're coming to places that are a little less taxation, or really we have no state income tax in Texas, but we do have property tax. Do you have property tax?
As I said, let's say there is only the 4% registration fee when you buy a property, and nothing else. Then a small fixed fees when you need to, let's say, issue a new title deed, but we are talking about really few peanuts, nothing important.
Well, that's very good. What is the population? Yeah, that is very attractive. What is the population of Dubai?
Today should be around 3.5 million. And,
okay.
And I remember when first I came, end of 2007, beginning of 2008, it was around 1.5. So
wow, that's incredible.
A lot. Yeah. So it's growing. The city is expanding. They have plans to reach maybe 5-10 millions in I don't know how many years, because then of course depends on many factors. But you can see how the city is expanding and the infrastructure are expanding, that they want to welcome more people.
Nice.
And one of the let's say things very unique in Dubai is the population. at the end of the day, the locals, the Emirati guy in Dubai, are just less than 10% of the population. So 90% of the population is made of expats. So you have expats from all around the world.
Wow, I did not know that either. What would you say primarily they come from, England or where?
Let's say things are changing a bit, but one of the main population in Dubai for sure is from India.
Oh, okay.
We have many Indians, but let's say also Europe, many British, recently in the last couple of years, many Russians, but also all the population in this part of the world, so from other countries in the Middle East. And then recently, also in the last year, many people from China.
Wow, interesting. Now, okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions as if I had a lot of money and I was going to thinking about different areas. What would you say? What I do not, and again, forgive me, but my audience doesn't know this either. Probably most of them. Some of them might. But what is the government like in UAE? Can you tell me what type of government it is?
Let's say the UAE is a federation of 7 emirates. Okay. So Dubai is one of them. The capital is Abu Dhabi. We have a president of the United Arab Emirates, which is based in Abu Dhabi, is the royal family of Abu Dhabi. And the ruler of Dubai is the prime minister of the UAE and the vice president of the United Arab Emirates. Let's say,
what does that mean to be the ruler of Dubai?
Sorry?
What does that mean to be the ruler of Dubai?
Let's say it's difficult.
Like the mayor? Is it sort of like a mayor?
Something like that. At the end of the day, it's every single emirate, they have their own ruler, which is a sort of mayor, let's say, the head of the
head of the local government. Okay. All right. So that sounds nice. And then is it a democracy? Is it a republic? What kind of government?
Let's say there is no election. Let's say we have the family, the royal family.
Okay, so it's a kingdom.
Yeah, they don't follow a succession in terms of saying the first male is the successor. The ruler decides who among his children will be the next ruler, and he trained whoever is in charge to be the next one. So they try to also to have a vision, to choose among the one who can follow their vision.
Right, not just because you're the oldest male or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, and so what drives the economy there? It's probably oil, but I don't know.
It's quite different between the Emirates. Abu Dhabi is the one where oil is predominant. Dubai, honestly, doesn't have much oil, and they grew a lot for real estate services to attract, let's say, international investors. So I would say that real estate and tourism are the two main industries here in Dubai. While in Abu Dhabi, it's still the oil, the main, let's say, driver.
So Emirates are sort of like different. Each emirate is a different like country, but they're united, like the United States.
It's a sort of federation of, let's say, the country is one only. It's, let's say, the United Arab Emirates, made of a federation of 7 emirates. They have, of course, many centralized activities, rules, government bodies, and everything. But then they have the specific things. So they have Dubai. They have their own budget and everything, also for the infrastructure and something like that.
Okay, now thank you for the little bit of the update, because a lot of people would be curious about these things, as I am. What kind of projects are you working on right now?
Now I have a few things in the pipeline. Let's say one is a project in one community called the Jumeirah Village Circle. We are in the final stage of the authorization process. Let's say we expect to get the building permit in a few weeks. And it's just a residential project. It's a G plus 15 floors. Mainly with 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom apartments, and with some, let's say, duplex flats on the last 2 floors. And of course, as usual here in Dubai, you have a bit of retail on the ground floor close to the lobby.
And I assume a parking garage.
Yeah, of course. Now, recently, they are let's say pushing a bit to excavate less, so less basements but more podiums for the parking. Also because you know, when the water level is quite high, or let's say not deep enough. In one last project I finished, it was 2.5 meters below the ground floor. So when you need to construct many basements, you need to run the watering for many months with many road crossing to go to the discharging point. It's a bit, let's say, not good also for the community, because now before it was just a construction site in Dubai. Now it's becoming a residential community with many construction, but you need also to take care of people already living there. For example, at the beginning, I remember you could work 24 hours per day in different shifts. Now they reduced it. They want at night not having construction site working, because it's disturbing and noisy for the residents. So there are, you know, the market is becoming more mature, and so with different kind of regulations are putting in place.
Okay, so if you're a tourist and you come to Dubai, what are some of the tourist attractions that or things that you would do there?
For sure. There are nice beaches, still nice beaches. So for a bit of relax, with many hotels, they offer amazing facilities. Then, okay, you have maybe among the biggest malls in the world, because Dubai Mall, I think, has got something like 1,200 shops.
Wow.
With a nice rink, the aquarium, and something else. Then there is the Mall of the Emirates with 600-700 shops, the ski slope, and everything. There are many, let's say, activities in the desert for camping, for dunes, enjoying many activities. And then then there are also some interesting part related to, now there is the new Museum of the Future, which is very interesting in Dubai. In Abu Dhabi, there is the Louvre, which is a very interesting museum. There are also, from a cultural point of view, there are many new things happening.
Well, for a guy who didn't get any questions beforehand, you're doing a great job. So what are some of the more important or projects that you've worked on that you would like to talk about?
Let's say in the last couple of years, we finished a couple of projects. Let's say here in Dubai, in the last few years, I focused more on residential than offices, because after the crisis of 2008, let's say There were plenty of offices, especially in two areas, Business Bay and Jumeirah Lakes Towers. And then it took a while before the market restarted. Even in the last few years when the market was very good, let's say from mid 2020 up to now, offices restarted to be a good investment only in the last year. And so my main focus for the last few projects was in residential buildings. One was a G plus 20, where we had 278 apartments, studio flats, one bedroom, two bedrooms. And that was a very good one. In the first half of 2022 was the best seller in the community, Jumeirah Village Circle, as per Dubai Land Department stats. And also another good project we just finished with, let's say with end of 2022, we took over a stack project in Silicon Oasis, another popular community. It was already completed, the superstructure and the block works, but the owner was stuck because he didn't have money to finish the building. And so we took over the project and we finished it. And the good thing was that we managed to launch the mock-up flats, two mock-up flats on 8th of April. And on 30th of June, we sold out the full building. It was not a big one because it was a G plus 8 with 100 apartments, but we realized that when you target a niche in the market, try to do something a bit better than the competitor, then it's quite easy to sell fast.
Did you have some nice amenities at those apartments?
Yeah, usually, let's say most of the buildings here in Dubai, they come with nice amenities like a pool, like a nice gym, the sauna, the steam area. Let's say they have quite a nice amenities, and so it's good to pay attention to the details and give to the residents something nice where they can spend their free time.
Well, it sounds just like here. I mean, residents look for amenities.
Yes.
And I think one of the appeals to Dubai is also, as opposed to Europe and older Europe, is I assume everything's pretty much new.
Yeah, it's true. It's let's say at the end of the day, you can see or you can Google after our call some picture of Dubai at the beginning of the 2000, just 20 years ago, and you can't recognize it. You can't believe that they managed to build such a city in a few years. It's really unbelievable. So all the buildings are new.
Well, let me ask you this. This just popped into my head. How did COVID affect you all? The same as everybody else, or?
Not really. That was one of the key of the success of Dubai starting in the middle of 2020. Let's say we just had, I think if I remember well, 3 weeks of lockdown. And then they managed to open up somehow, and that was the key. And they managed to attract many people from India, where COVID hit heavily India in the springs of 2020, and then they couldn't manage. Many Indians started coming here. Even here they were smart because they lowered the price of properties to get 3 years of residence visa to 750,000 dirhams, which is $200 or something like that. And so many people from India left India because there they couldn't manage the COVID properly, and they moved here. And so the real estate market boomed because of this.
Wow, that's interesting because I wasn't, I didn't follow it all over the world exactly how it happened, but I know.
I have to say that also here you could see completely different policy between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi was really, really strict on this
Oh,
and criticized Dubai a lot because Dubai immediately opened up airport and everything to welcome tourism, to welcome new residents. And Abu Dhabi was really closed. Even to go to Abu Dhabi, you needed the test for COVID before traveling to Abu Dhabi. I remember I had a friend who was based in Dubai and working in Abu Dhabi. He had to take so many tests every 2 days.
well, the thing is, that's very interesting you say that. I don't think I've heard of any place that is open as Dubai. I mean, 3 weeks only. That's,
Yeah.
I've never heard of a place in the whole world that was that, should you say liberal or that, I don't know what the word is.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they realized that, let's say, it was better to open up and try to manage the situation.
Yes.
Especially when you have countries like, or let's say, cities like Dubai, they live on people, on tourism, on everything. You can know you have to balance the pros and cons of the different situations, and I think they played it well here at the end of the day.
Well, it's my understanding that I believe it was Sweden did not lock down at all also.
Yeah, I remember. It's true.
So I think when we have a little bit more time behind us of this whole pandemic, we're going to realize that maybe that's not the best approach, is locking down and isolating, and because I don't know, it's
it's a difficult subject with many side effects from the isolation and everything. So
yeah, and a lot of contagion, and so another pandemic may be much different. I don't know, but so how can you best help people if they look you up? I mean, what would you consider? Are you a real estate agent there, or are you?
No, I'm not an agent. I'm not a broker. Let's say I have a good network of brokers, but my approach is a bit different. I try usually to sit with the client and understand what are their needs. I don't have anything to sell, honestly, and so even when I work on a development project, then I take on board some brokers to work on the projects. But because for me, it's I working with the clients who invest maybe in the project, in the development, or they have a bigger portfolio to manage, and to try to balance the portfolio between rewards and risks, and try to more a strategic approach than selling units or something like that. I prefer to work on a different side of the business.
So you help mainly developers, and you're like an advisor.
Let's say property development is my passion, so I prefer to focus on. I like starting from the piece of land, and then thinking what can be the best project for that specific land, for that specific area, and then I like to select the best consultant, the best architect firm for that project to go into the details, to prepare a nice specification, the bill of quantities, to tender the contract, to follow everything related to the authorization process, then to start the site, to supervise the construction, and to go up to the completion and handover of the building. That is my real passion, and so what I'm focusing more.
Well, that's a very valuable person to have. If you want to be a developer in a place, you need to have somebody like you who understands the local market and the authorizations and
Yeah,
all that stuff, all those things.
you know, Robert, in Dubai, Dubai attracted many investors, and you know, just because you bought a piece of land doesn't mean you are a developer. So,
Right.
and many they needed, let's say, guidance in understanding what's the process from buying a piece of land. Okay, if you
Right.
buy a piece of land just to resell it and get a profit, it's fine. But if you buy
Right.
a piece of land because you want to develop it, it's not an easy job. So there are many stakeholders involved, many procedures, regulation and everything. And so that was my aim, to help them. And then, as it happened in the past, my aim is to empower my clients. At the beginning, I was, let's say, working in doing almost everything, but then helping them to build a company, to build the organization inside their company, to go on alone, let's say. And then I stepped back and become just an advisor for them, more strategic advisor, after helping them in building their own firm.
So what countries do you represent people from?
Oh, it happened to me to work with many different, let's say, people from India, Switzerland, Iran, Italy. Let's say it's difficult. You don't have in Dubai, as I said, there are people from everywhere. So it's every day in a room you are with the people from maybe 10 different countries. So it's
Wow.
that is the amazing thing. Just to give you an idea, my children at school, they have always the International Day every year, because at the school there are kids from 95, 97 countries. So it's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. We have a school, we have a couple of communities here in Dallas that have that type of dynamic as well. But it is good. And I mean, it really brings a lot of different ideas and financial backgrounds. Okay, speaking of that, how are interest rates affecting you?
That's the good question. I think I wrote an article a few days back related to
I saw that.
ready property against also off-plan. Usually, all around the world, I experienced where off-plan properties are cheaper than ready properties. Today, here in Dubai, we are experiencing something that is the opposite. Many developers, they launch their project with a very attractive payment plan that goes beyond the completion and handover of the building, maybe even 2-3 years. And so this is affecting the decisions of investor, where they can see if they buy a ready property and they need a mortgage with a higher interest rate compared to getting a payment plan from the developer if they buy off plan. And so this is, let's say, pushing people in more to off-plan properties than ready properties. This is one reason. Then the other reason is that also brokers push investors to off-plan properties, because honestly, it's easier to sell. Because here, you know, when you have to sell a ready property, you need to arrange the visits to the property, maybe deal with some problems in the properties, while here in you have amazing marketing materials. So you show nice renders, videos, brochures and everything, and it's easier to sell. And then let's say also that brokers, they get a higher commission for off-plan properties from the developer compared to the usual 2% they get on the ready properties. And so this is, let's say, moving the market to off-plan, which is, honestly speaking, for me, it's a bit too much, because I experienced, just to give you an example, in a community where we finished that project of 278 apartments I was talking about, which is one of the best buildings in the area, in the community. There was a resale recently, a few months back, of a guy who bought and then wanted to resell with a profit. So the selling price for that unit was 1,050 dirhams per square foot. And then it took him a couple of months, 2-3 months, to manage to sell it. And the yield was more than 8% because it was rented. While similar projects off-plan, they were sold for 1,400, which is, so 1,050 against 1,300. I can't honestly justify this markup for the off-plan compared to the ready property. I would, between the two, I would buy the ready property without any doubt. But because, you know, investors from abroad especially, they know the market not so well. They rely on the brokers, and so the brokers push them to off-plan properties. And so also for this reason, I would say to a foreign investor, let's say, to do a proper due diligence, understand all the hidden costs, and understand a bit the market, the difference between ready properties and off-plan before buying and relying blinding on the marketing.
Well, from what I hear, Paolo, if somebody wants to invest in Dubai, they need a neutral person who doesn't have a particular interest in any one property, like you. And I think you'd be a good representative for anybody.
Thank you.
Paolo, one more time before we end the podcast, can you say how people can contact you?
Yes, I have my website, which is paolovolani.com. And then even there is the connection, the link to my LinkedIn profile, where I am a bit more active with some posts, a couple of posts per week. But even on my website, I'm trying to get a couple of new articles per week. I like to explore these different topics, especially linked to investments in real estate here in Dubai and property development.
That's great. I'm so happy to have had you for a guest on the podcast tonight. All right,
it was a pleasure being your guest. Thanks a lot. Yeah, this morning here in Dubai. In the meantime, we have some light coming.
Oh, okay. Not here, not for many hours, but thank you very much, Paolo. It's so nice to meet you and so nice to interview you. Maybe I'll get the privilege of meeting you in person one day.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Okay, thank you, Paolo. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.